There has been a massive Bills update regarding an ongoing situation that has left fans wondering about the status of one of our best players. As other teams have faced contract disputes and post-draft drama, Bills Mafia has been waiting for answers about a key offensive weapon that stepped up big last season. Although the situation seemed tense at first, star running back James Cook has recently broken the silence about his potential contract extension for next season and how his views have shifted. My name is Maeve Miller, and I'm a part of the Bills Digest team, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the latest updates during this off-season. Starting off, I want to talk about what has been said so far and what has happened because it's definitely been an ongoing situation since the season ended. But to start off with, I want to talk about Cook because there is no denying his impact on the Bills last season. He played great. He was definitely a key offensive player, and by establishing the run game, there's a lot of positive impacts. It led to Allen not having to have that superhero role every game because I feel like he's used to either running the ball, passing the ball, but in this situation, he could hand it off to Cook or Ty Johnson or Ray Davis, who were great backups. And it was a combination of these three players playing great and the offensive line being very strong, where the run game was able to be established, and there was a lot more versatility on offense. Going into some of his stats, he had over 1,000 rushing yards with 16 rushing touchdowns, and that actually set the Bills' single-season record. He also had 2 receiving touchdowns and over 1,200 yards total. And this ended up with him being selected for the Pro Bowl. So, yeah, like his contributions to the Bills can't be understated. He played well, even in the playoffs. He put up 3 touchdowns during the playoffs games. And I loved James Cook. I'm a huge fan. But there definitely was some issues off the field when it came to his contract that kind of overshadows some of these great plays he made. So in February, he started going on social media, specifically Twitter and Instagram. This example, he responded to a tweet saying, "If you think James Cook ain't worth 15, you must have been dropped on your head first through a table, pay him." And this tweet came after Cook was on social media talking about how he thinks he deserves a $15 million contract extension, which is a lot. He definitely is a great player, but the Bills also have issues with their salary cap, and it just felt like a lot that he was asking. He also went on a podcast saying, "Feed me the big bucks," went on Instagram Live, and there's a lot of things going on. And I don't mind a player talking about what he thinks he deserves because he was a great player, but he started unfollowing the Bills' different accounts and removed all his pictures with the Bills, which just led fans to be very concerned. And there's a lot of tweets going on and stuff. And another thing that he responded to was after Saquon Barkley got his contract extension because he had an amazing, amazing year. And not to say that Cook, he didn't play as well as Barkley, but I think he was trying to kind of respond to this tweet saying that that's what he also thinks he deserves, not as much as Barkley. But this is also coming at a time when running backs are getting more recognition, monetarily for sure. McCaffrey's had a big contract extension, and so has Barkley. So I think Cook was just saying that he thinks he should be the next one in line for that. But fans were definitely getting concerned. This tweet said that I'm sure that James Cook didn't bluster himself out of Buffalo Bills' future plans. He should stop with the social media games. No one wants a Diggs 2.0 ruin the vibes. And I definitely get that concern because Diggs was also a great, great player, but things just turned sour on social media because he just wasn't happy with things. And the off-field stuff started impacting the on-field stuff and locker room issues. So I think people were just concerned because he was being so vocal and Cook was also involving his family and other people on social media. It just turned into a big mess. So fans were definitely concerned about that. But in March, Beane also started talking about this. He was asked about the contract. He said, "I love Jimbo, proud of his success, just like these other guys that we got extended. I don't talk about negotiations. I would say his reps and him did put it out there that we did talk, so I'm not sharing anything new. It didn't lead to anything as far as closing in on a deal, so moved on to the guys that we're on the same page with." So I think that was definitely revealing that the Bills are not on the same page as Cook at the time and his agents because I think he was asking for a lot more than the Bills could give up. But I do agree. I think Beane said he wanted to focus on specifically guys like Benford and Rousseau, and the defense is definitely this part that needed more bolstering. So I think I agree with Beane's decision because he wanted to focus on extending Christian Benford and Rousseau, which were big multiple-year contracts. And I think that's very exciting because the defense is something that the Bills need to work on. The offense is already great, and obviously they can make improvements. But as we've seen from the draft, where the Bills took mostly defensive players, that is their focus right now. And I think Beane just was trying to look and work with guys that our agents were on the same page as. So I think this was a more exciting time, and I also had made videos about whether they would extend Cook or Benford at the time, and I think they definitely made the right choice extending Benford. And then lastly, in April, Cook was absent from voluntary workouts, which, as I said, they're voluntary, but that definitely raised the question and put fans also at kind of a confused state. And now I want to talk about what the situation is now, because clearly there's been some big changes. So at first, the relations definitely seemed tense, but now they seem to be improving. And after Beane made that statement, he said that, yeah, there's no agreement at the time, but just because we didn't sign him now doesn't mean that we won't in the future before he gets free agency. And I think if it works out, like with Cook getting a little bit less of a contract than he asked for, still a good contract, I think he'd be willing to, like, Beane would definitely be willing to sign him again. We just have to see what happens. This was a recent update where Cook was at a celebrity poker tour, and he was asked about what, like, the contract extension is going to be, and he was actually surprisingly more, like, tight-lipped about it. And that was definitely a very different approach than he was like doing more in the winter. I'm obviously very happy about this because I think that's a way more relaxed attitude, but it definitely is confusing because at the time he was very adamant and vocal about this. But I like that he's more taking an unselfish role and just being like, wants to be there for his teammates, and it definitely will work out. He also posted a Instagram story of himself recently and Josh Allen. That was on May 8th. And there was no context with it. It was just that picture. So I think that kind of shows that definitely things have calmed down. And I think he's maybe more looking forward to the season, because I think a lot of fans are primarily concerned that he does have one more season on his rookie contract with the Bills. So they just don't want issues coming into the season after we're really trying to vie for that Super Bowl. So I think overall, we'll have to see what happens, especially in June. That's when the mandatory camp starts. And I think a lot of Cook's contract will depend on his performance this season, because if he has another breakout year and just star-studded stats and stuff like that, I think there's definitely a possibility that he could get that $15 million, especially if the salary cap works out and if the Bills keep on making it farther into the playoffs, they'll have some more money to work with. So yeah, I think for now, we'll have to see how the camp goes and just how preseason and the beginning of the games go. But overall, I'm hoping that the Bills do extend him. I'm curious what you guys think. I know there was some drama with him, but I think overall he is a great player and has helped the Bills be a lot more successful. So thanks for watching, and go Bills.